driver's license, social security, medical, character and criminal, and financial. And what synthetic is it will touch on every single one of those 5. Synthetic identity theft has been happening for a long time. How many people in the United States today? 300 million, right? Give or take, but I just use the number 300 million. Our studies, our research at Iowa State, what we're trying to prove right now has a little bit to do with synthetic identity theft. We say 300 million birth certificates, living birth certificates in the United States with synthetic identity theft. We wonder if that number isn't 350 million or 400 million or 450 million. Now don't quote me on a number because we're not finished there. All right, we don't know what that number is yet. We may never know, and that's what my conclusion is we'll never know what the number is of how many living persons are on documents, on databases, all right, and don't have a birth certificate. Right, so what's happening is individuals are taking little pieces of our information. They may take your social security number, your date of birth, your mother's maiden name, okay, your driver's license, your address, somebody else's, right? All those pieces, those breeder documents, put them together and produce a brand new person. Right? And in the last 10 or 15 years, as the credit market has been going, as you know, until just last year when the bottom fell out, they've been granting credit to everybody and anybody, right? And so many times these new people that didn't exist would now get credit. They would now open utility accounts, credit card accounts, renting houses, buying cars, buying houses, and sometimes continue to pay the bill. The problem is then your name is on a credit report, and there are what called sub-files. And we don't see those sub-files. It's a privacy problem. If you're on a sub-file, it means there's something there that might be related to you. Right? Some piece of information that might cross-reference with your actual account. And if that file has my name on it and a little bit of my information, but has half of your information as well, by law I cannot see that because of the privacy rules. All right? So there are sub-files. And so that's really where synthetic identity theft is wreaking havoc on us today. All this information, by the way, it's in my books, in the Silent Crime, and they have them outside here today. So, current statistics, according to recent Javelin report, the number of victims of identity theft increased 22%. 22% over 2008. So a lot of you are hearing in the marketplace today, yeah, it's kind of calmed down. We're not seeing it as much. It's not as prevalent as it has been in the last 3 or 4 years. Research shows different. Now, just because the media isn't pushing it, and I would argue with that over the last 6 months, I think the media has ramped it up in coverage on identity theft. Now, yes, in 2007, I think they did calm down a little bit. They had some other stories that the elections were coming and all that, right? So they had some juicier stories than identity theft. But it continues to increase, and we're having the problems. In cases where identity fraud was reported, 71% of the victims occurred in less than 1 week. In 1 week, since your data was breached. You think there's something important about having your credit monitored on a regular basis rather than on a quarterly or a semi-annual or an annual basis? I mean, the federal government gave us that right to do it on an annual basis, but prepaid legal has now given you the right to do it on a regular or daily basis. Big difference, right? Now, a lot of your so-called competition, and you all know, most of you know how I feel about that. I went off on my rant on that in Oklahoma City, but because I don't believe you have a competition. If you really look at your product, compared to any of the other products on the market today, there's no competition. So I think it's a very easy position to go into a business owner as a voluntary benefit and offer them your product and have it accepted if they really will sit down with you and give you that 5 minutes for you to explain to them properly what your product does and what you can do to help them as well. So 71% of the incidents occurred in less than 1 week, up from 33% since 2005. More and more need for your product, right? As those numbers increase as well. Consumer Sentinel Network data book of January-December 2008 showed that for the 9th year in a row, identity theft was the number one consumer complaint. Mr. Serba, Jason Lavender, Mark Seguin, they've all come up and said to you that productivity with the employees is going down. Productivity with you would go down as well if you were a victim of identity theft, am I right? So it is very important to have these pieces in your voluntary benefit portfolio. In 9 years, this is what's interesting. Many of us haven't been studying it for maybe just 2 or 3, 4 years, right? It's been going on for 9 years as the number one complaint. This has been around for a long time. Some solutions like prepaid legal put together with Kroll have come out in 2003 where they were one of the leaders in the industry. Statistics continue. 10 of the top 20 complaints category were, these are not in order, by the way, except number 1. Identity theft was the number 1 complaint. The rest are not in any order. Third-party and creditor debt collection, foreign money offers, credit bureaus, travel, vacation, internet services, healthcare, advance-free loans, banks and lenders, and telephone services. What do they have in common? What is it? Legal situations. Legal situations. So when someone argues when I write in my book and that was peer-reviewed and they say, you know, aren't you coming out a little heavy with prepaid legal when you suggest that they're the 800-pound gorilla in the room, that they're the best company in the world, that they're the only leader in the industry? I said, if you can show me another leader in the industry that does what they do, I'll write about it in my book. But they can't. You can't. The researchers can't yet. There's no other company out there that has the identity theft piece put together with the legal plan. And it's very important. As you all said, the legal issue here, but I could also argue that it's identity theft as well in every one of these categories. Right? These will all affect you in an identity theft situation, but they're also all legal issues. And so I write and I lecture that identity theft is first and foremost a legal issue. So why don't your so-called competitors have a legal program attached? All right? So they're missing a huge piece of this in the marketplace. Your competition, I've touched on that. You do not really truly have competition. So yeah, you might go into the business owner and they say, yeah, we've talked to our insurance agent, or we've talked to another guy who came in and discussed another product with us. But if you can get those moments with that business owner, believe me, business owners really do want the best for their employees. They really do. What's best for their employees is best for their bottom line, right? To keep the employees in the seats, keep them working, keep them selling, keep them doing whatever their job is. They want the best. So if you get those few minutes to explain it to them, they'll understand that you have the premium product. I talk about your competition as being the same as, I use the analogy of baseball. You have single A, double A, and triple A baseball. You have Major League Baseball. They're all professional players. They're all in the same industry, right? But do they ever play each other in the World Series? No. AAA they didn't ever play a Major League Baseball team. So you can have somebody within your industry. It doesn't mean they're your competition. Now they're all striving to be in the major leagues, but yet they're still in the single, double, or AAA ball team. Okay? And until they make that move, which prepaid has done over 37 years, to be the only team in the major leagues, it's got to be a little boring up there, right? To not have those games. So don't act like you do have the competition. Until you have that posture when you go into the business owner or talk to the employees, and you have that posture that you're the only team in the league, you may still continue to lose some of those accounts. Right? So you've got to understand you're the only team in the major leagues. All right? It's a little frustrating being up there. All right? But I think you can all put up with that, can't you? And so I won't go over this, but I do have a comparison chart in the book. It goes through LifeLock, Prepaid Legal, Equifax, and State Auto. I don't choose them by chance. The two products I'm talking about, Prepaid Legal, are packaged together. It's by far the most robust program on the market today. And that's because it includes all traditional ID theft services and access to legal counsel 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.